Alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and read chapter 5, get this out of the way instead of waiting till next week. So we're going to read chapter 5. Chapter 5. If we can only feel what we're thinking, don't we need to think positively? That's what the chapter is called. Give me a second here. Okay. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start. We're going to go ahead and start. Okay. We are ever only one thought away from peace, love, and joy, which come from a state of no thought. Dickon Bettinger. Weird name. Weird name. Excuse me. Anyways, let's make sure y'all can hear me. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and start the chapter. There is a caveat I haven't mentioned yet to the principle that we can only feel what we're thinking. The more accurate way of describing it is that we can only feel negative emotions when we are thinking. The goal isn't to necessarily the goal isn't necessarily to completely stop feeling negative emotions. Some negative emotions can be helpful, such as feeling fearful when walking down a dark alley alone with no one else in sight. Yeah, I guess. These negative emotions are only helpful for survival. For survival. But if we don't constantly encounter life or death situations, negative emotions are more helpful or more unhelpful than helpful for most of us. You know what? I don't know why I'm put these ones. I can't see in them. I can't see in them. That's just the costume. But anyway, come on. We're going to be moving forward with with the context that we're not struggling for physical survival. So we'll be using the context that negative emotions are not necessary most of the time. When I mention that we can only ever feel what we're thinking, most people assume we must think positively to feel positive emotions. I guess. Instead of convincing you if this is true, let's do another thought experiment so you can experience the truth for yourself. So we're gonna let's see. Recall a time when you felt the most joy and love you've ever felt in your life, and feel that feeling you felt as much as you can for at least 30 seconds. A moment that I felt hmm. You know, what's crazy is I can't really remember. I can't remember any specific moment. I have a bad memory, but I know I have some moments. But anyway, I'm not gonna do the thought thing. Y'all can do it. I'm just gonna read. Um, what thoughts are going through your mind at the peak moment when you felt the most joy and love? I'm not asking what you were doing at the time, but what thoughts were going through your head at the exact moment. Many people who answer this realize they had no thoughts during that exact moment. For others, they say the thought was that they were so grateful or happy. For those who answer that they had the thought that they were grateful, did you feel that joy and love before you had that thought or after? Take 10 to 15 seconds to answer the question before moving on. What insights and epiphanies did you have? What's surprising what's surprising is that most people didn't have any or many thoughts going through their mind when they felt the happiest and the most amount of love in their lives. Those who had excuse me, those who had the thoughts that they were grateful felt that way before having that thought. If they had that thought, it happened after they felt the feeling. So the thought could have produced the emotion. This brings us to another truth. Do you not have to have thoughts or think to feel positive emotions? The beautiful part about truth is that it needs no justification because it can be experienced right here, right? Right now. It doesn't need to be proven or rationalized to you. And you experience this truth firsthand by the experiment we just did. Here's why we don't need to have thoughts or think to feel positive emotions like joy and love. Our natural state of being is joy, love, ecstasy, freedom, and gratitude. This may be hard to believe because if it's natural, why don't we always feel that way? I'll answer this in a bit. Let me see if I can answer that. Um, our natural state of being is joy, love, ecstasy, freedom, and gratitude. I truly believe that because if you can think back when you were a child, you were always happy unless you were being abused or some shit like that. But most of the time, our natural state, we're always happy. We getting up ready to go to school, we ready to play and things like that. And then as we get older, we are being trained to be a certain type of way to fit inside of society's box. So a lot of these low vibrational emotions come from conditioning because naturally as kids we are happy and full of energy, but there are adults in our life that got to stop that at a certain age. You're too old to be acting like that. If we had no parents telling us what to do and things like that, we'd probably be kids forever, just kids, kids in the mind, adults physically, but mentally kids, ain't nothing wrong with that to me because I feel like kids have the biggest imagination and your imagination is it rules the nation. But anyway, let's continue. Um, yeah, so this may be hard to believe because if it's natural, why don't we always feel that way? I'll answer this in a bit. I think I did answer it, but we'll see. Okay, come on. If we want to see the natural state of anything, one of the best ways is to look at nature in its state in its infancy, before it is affected and conditioned by its environment. Just said that. Just said that. I was right. We get conditioned. We get conditioned. And I ain't even read this chapter yet. This is the first time I'm reading it. For example, let's look at the natural state of a baby. What is a baby's natural and default state? Assuming the baby wasn't abused. Oh my, I clearly just said this shit. I clearly just said this. This is crazy. And this is and I think I guessed it right because I've read so many books that talk about the same shit. This book is literally, it's like every book I read is like the Bible. It literally, you will find things in every book that you read that it kind of it's just every book is going by the same format. I don't know. I can't explain it in the way that I want to explain it to get y'all to understand. But I knew because I read so many supernatural spiritual type books and they all say like the same thing. They all say the same thing. So um or had any physical issues. Are babies naturally stressed, anxious, fearful, and self conscious? Or are they naturally in a state of bliss, happiness, and love? Naturally, they're in a state of bliss, happiness, and love. That's what I would assume. That's what I would assume. I don't think any baby is coming out the womb scared. Like the baby don't know shit. The baby is crying and everything, but I don't think it's gonna be scared. It's not gonna be scared. Okay. You know what? Let me take a drink. Thirsty. Oh my god. Excuse me. Oh, that was great. Oh my god. Okay, anyway. Our natural state of being is joy, love, and peace. Therefore, any thinking we do will only take us away from those natural states of being, which is why whenever we feel highly stressed, we have a lot of thinking going on. The strength of the negative emotion we feel is directly proportional to how much thinking we are doing in the moment. On the other hand, we intense the intensity of the positive emotions we feel is inversely proportional to the amount of thinking we're doing at the moment. In other words, the less thinking we have going on, the stronger the positive emotions we feel in the present. And I'm starting to understand the more I read. Um, because thinking, just if you think about it, when time is flying, they say time flies when you're having fun. So when you're having fun and time is just flying, you're really not thinking about nothing. You're just having fun. There's no force that you need to have fun. There's nothing to force. You're just having fun. You're in a state of being. Like I said, you're in a state of being. So most times when you're enjoying yourself and you're having fun, you're not really thinking. Most times you see somebody sitting in a corner and they quiet, they probably thinking. They're probably stressing themselves out. Me, me personally, I do not like being around a lot of people. I hate being around a lot of people. Excuse me. It drains the fuck out of me. It drains me. So if I'm going to a place where a lot of people, or if I'm invited, I need the person who invited me. I need you to assure me that you're not going to leave my side. You're not going to leave me alone, because if you leave me alone around all these people that I don't know, I'm going to feel lonely. I'm going to feel alone. I'm going to feel like everybody is looking at me. I'm going to feel so uncomfortable. I would be sitting there and it just looked like I'm totally fine. It looks like I'm totally fine, but I'm going nuts in the inside, because why the fuck did you leave me here? I hate being around a lot of people. I just never liked it. Never liked it. I never liked being around a lot of people. Just never been my thing. Just never been my thing. But anyway, to see the truth in this, recall a few other memories when you were highly stressed and anxious, and see how much thinking was going on then. Take about 1 to 2 minutes to do this. Y'all do that on your own, and I do it on my own time. I'm going to continue reading. Then recall a few memories where you were at your happiest or felt the most joy and love, and see how much thinking you had going on at that time. Take another 1 to 2 minutes to do this before moving on, to really experience and internalize the truth of what you see. Um, that's interesting. I am actually going to try this exercise when I get off here. I'm definitely going to try it. So, um, okay. My men All right. My mentor taught me an analogy that helped crystallize this concept. Imagine our mind has a speedometer, like in a car, but instead of miles per hour, it's thoughts per minute. The more thinking we have going on, the higher the thoughtometer goes. And if we have enough thinking going on, it'll go into the red zone. This is when we feel incredibly stressed, burnt out, frustrated, and angry. That is crazy. Just thinking about it, like we already know that a lot of times our thoughts are not our thoughts. So a thought can just come into your mind, and if you choose to focus on that thought, which causes thinking, you will think yourself into some stressful shit. Thinking cause stress. Like I'm starting to, like, even today, earlier when I was at work, I was thinking negative thoughts, but I stopped them right there. I stopped them right there because this book is really, really helping me. I'm not gonna lie, but it was like the negative thoughts came, and then it's like, you know what? What are you coming to me for? Move the fuck around. Move the fuck around. Like, just how that negative thought come into your mind, kick that mug right back out and see what the universe sends next, because that ain't what we doing. That's not what we dealing with today. So yeah, it is not the content of our thinking that causes us to stress, but that we are thinking, period. The amount of thinking we have going on is directly correlated to the magnitude of stress and negative emotions we are experiencing at any given moment. When you're experiencing a lot of frustration, stress, anxiety, or or any negative emotions, know that it is because you're thinking. The intensity of those emotions is directly correlated to how much thinking is going on. And I don't know how to explain that to get people to understand it, but I get it. The more I read, I get it. It's like downloading inside of me. I get it. Therefore, it's not what we're thinking about that is causing us suffering, but that we are thinking. So how do we stop thinking? Like how? Like you think of a thought and just don't focus on that thought. Cuz the more thinking you do, you might think about positive thoughts, but the more thinking you do, those thoughts gonna turn around. I would assume. I would definitely assume. Okay, hold on. Okay. To summarize, we do not have to try to think positively to experience love, joy, bliss, and any positive emotions we want, because it is our natural state to feel those emotions. The only times we don't naturally feel these emotions is when we begin to think about the thoughts we're having, thus blocking the direct connection to infinite intelligence, and we feel stressed, anxious, depressed, and fearful. It is not about the content of our thinking, but that we're thinking, which is the root cause of our suffering. The intensity of the negative emotions is directly correlated to the amount of thinking we have going on in the present. The less thinking we have, the more space we create for positive emotions to naturally surface. Okay, so I'm, like I said, I'm starting to get in it a little more. I'm starting to get it in. It's really great. Okay, so we have a couple of things to look here. Um, Emotions is rooted in thoughts, but not mistakenly in positive thinking. The chapter acknowledges that if emotions arise from thought, one might assume that cultivating positive thoughts is the route to feeling good. Yes, I definitely thought that. I always thought, even growing up, I always was the one in my family like think positive, think positive. I don't know where I got that from, but I naturally grew up doing telling everybody to think positive. It was to one point to where my mom was stressed out about something, and I ended up telling her, just stay on the positive side. We got to think positive and stuff. She treated the fuck out of me. She treated the fuck out of me like, there you go with that positive shit. Get your positive ass on. And I'm like, we gotta stay positive. But I never stopped being a positive person because of that. So, my mom, she was good at I love my mom. Anything I say about my mom is just some experiences that I had. Didn't enjoy all the experiences with my mom, but I know my mom did the best she could with what she had. Because like I say all the time, there's no rule book on how to be the perfect parent. So when I say anything about my mother, I'm not mad at her. I know she did the best that she could. My mom was a wonderful mom. She was a wonderful woman. I don't never take that from her. But like I was saying, my mom was good at raining on a motherfucker parade. She was good at that for sure, for sure. My mom was a negative Nancy. I even sometimes um shit. Anyway, there was even another time I had an incident with my mom. I was in high school. I think I was a freshman, and I would always come home from school, and sometimes she would have friends at her house, and they would ask us like, how was your day, how was school, and things like that, and I will always say some negative shit. My mom kind of trained me to start being negative because I was too positive. It was a subconscious thing. So I used to always say negative stuff, and then when I start being negative, she got mad at that. And so it was like it was always a lose lose sometimes with my mom. Growing up in the house with my mom, it was like lose lose a lot of the times. I don't know if it was just me, but I think my mom really, like me personally, if I was being honest, growing up, I believe my mom didn't like me. I thought she couldn't stand me. I thought she couldn't stand me. And I know that she knows this because I got a reading done a few weeks ago. And the woman told me that my mom had a message for me. And she told me, my mom said to me, in so many words, I'm not going to quote it, but in so many words, that she loved me and she was never mad at me. Damn, it was more, but like I said, I knew my mom knew. My mom knew me. My mom knew me. She knew. But anyway, let's continue. Um the problem isn't just negative thoughts. It's the very act of thinking itself that pulls you out of your natural state. So how do we stop that? That's the question I have. How do we stop thinking? It's like hard to fathom. It's like, I mean, shit. We got life. Life is always happening. So ain't no telling. Everybody got their own journey. So people going it is what it is. Negative emotions can be helpful in survival context, but in modern life, they often derail us rather than support us. That is true. That is true. Our natural state is joy, fulfillment, and peace. The author posits that our baseline isn't distress or anxiety. It's inner joy, love, and fulfillment. And I know this to be fact because every time, I've been eating clean lately. And every morning I wake up, I feel great. I feel amazing. So I know that's true that our natural state is joy, bliss, happiness, gratitude. I'm thankful every fucking morning, especially when I'm eating well. I mean, I'm full of energy and stuff like that. So I truly I can see that being a fact, that is our natural state. Because if you feed the body well, you go to sleep on it, you wake up, you have no choice but to feel great. You have no choice but to feel great. Frequent thinking, regardless of content, disconnects us from that natural peaceful state. The act of thinking itself is the culprit. Positive thinking doesn't solve the problem because it still keeps you trapped in the thinking loop. So you can think positive all you want, but eventually them negative thoughts are going to creep up in there. Them negative thoughts are going to creep up in there. True peace comes from moments when thought quiets. True peace comes from moments when thought quiets. And that state is available even without active thinking. While most of us assume that feeling good means consciously thinking pleasant thoughts, the author argues that this belief contributes to emotional unrest. Instead, he suggests that peace, clarity, and love are our default nature, but they often go unnoticed because we're too caught up in active thinking. The chapter invites us not to engineer positivity, but to quiet the mind so that our natural state can emerge undestructed. So, like I've said before, meditation will definitely help with that. Um, I'm sleepy. I am sleepy. Um, yeah, meditation helps with that. Meditation is learning how to control your thoughts. Because, like I said, if you ever experienced meditation before, when you first start meditating, your thoughts are is going to be it's going to be 1,000 thoughts per minute just going everywhere. You're going to be thinking about the last thing you ate. You're going to think about what you said to somebody 10 years ago. I don't know, but you're going to have a lot of thoughts to the point you're going to be thinking you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it wrong. It's just for you to control those thoughts. Understand all these thoughts aren't your thoughts. So understand these thoughts that's coming through. You have a choice. It's like a buffet of thoughts. You pick the one you want to focus on. You pick the one you want to focus on, and that's going to shape the reality around you. And the universe is going to respond to that. So if you get a thought that's negative, positive, whatever the case may be, the universe is going to match that like it's 401k. Real stuff. But anyway, I think we're done. How long did I do this? Okay, okay. But thank you so much for tuning in to Free World TV. And as I always say, through every struggle a statement is made. It's your girl Free. And I'm out.